Welcome back to TKO Takes, and it's now time to give y'all the analytics bracket. So I use the NCAA March Madness website. They have a cool feature where you can click here and come up with your own stats that you like, and it gives you a total score for that team. So the things I like in a team is they can make threes if they have a bench, offensive rebounds, assist turnover ratio, second chance points, points off turnovers, how they're doing in the last 10 games, and if they're good at free throws. So that all becomes the score. So we're gonna make a bracket just based off of these stats. So Duke obviously won that one, and then Ohio State, TCU, it likes TCU. And let's take a look at this 5-12 matchup. Now this game could be interesting. I personally took St. John's in this one, and the stats also like St. John's. Kansas versus Cal Baptist. Will we have an upset here? We will. Cal Baptist will take down Kansas. And Louisville versus South Florida. South Florida heavily. This is actually a team that I did pick to beat Louisville in my bracket. Make sure to check that video out, my main bracket. Michigan State versus North Dakota State could get interesting. Not interesting enough. Michigan State holds on. UCLA versus UCF. Tight game. I took UCLA, and stats also like the Bruins in this one. Furman against UConn. I think maybe upset there because, UConn makes it close every game. Maybe they don't have the greatest stats, but they survive against Furman. Duke versus TCU. Stats like Duke. And St. John's Cal Baptist. Can the Cinderella move on? And Cal Baptist cannot. St. John's holds on. And South Florida versus Michigan State. South Florida, according to the stats, are going to destroy Michigan State. So pretty interesting stuff there. And UCLA will take on UConn. And UConn narrowly wins against UCLA. And then we have Duke versus St. John's. The stats like the Duke Blue Devils just a tad more, and they move on. I actually had Kansas upset Duke. That's a crazy swing. It's probably not going to age well, but it's just what I feel. I've liked this Kansas team all year. So, but the stats, as you would think, like Duke this year. And South Florida is going to upset the UConn Huskies. Crazy stuff right there. And will they make to the Final Four? They are, according to the stats. But I think I'm going to intervene here. I actually think I might have UConn move on, and then let's see here. Yeah, Duke wins. So I think actually we'll keep the Cinderella alive. We'll say they beat UConn, then I'll have Duke move on because we still want a bracket if it's gonna do well. I don't think South Florida is gonna beat Duke. That would be crazy if that happened. I don't know. Maybe comment down. Maybe I should change the decision I made there. Comment if y'all want South Florida in the Final Four. Make sure to let me know. And we'll have Florida move on against Prairie View or Lehigh. Clemson versus Iowa. Stats like Iowa, I do too as well. Vanderbilt versus McNeese. Stats like McNeese. Obviously, their stats are inflated because they play worse competition. But McNeese does force a lot of turnovers and are a good defensive team. And the stats like Nebraska slightly. I actually took Troy over Nebraska. Very slightly. I do like Nebraska, so it's tough to make that upset, but I think Troy might win that game. And VCU is going to destroy North Carolina, according to the stats. Penn versus Illinois. No inflated, Cinderella stats there. Illinois avoids that upset. And St. Mary's versus Texas A&M. St. Mary's will beat Texas A&M. I definitely agree. I don't like Texas A&M this year. And Idaho does not have enough starch to take down Houston. Let's finish out this side of the bracket. Florida is going to beat Iowa. I think so too. I think they're going to rebound a very bad rebounding team in Iowa. And Bennett Sturts won't be enough. And McNeese will keep the Cinderella alive and beat Florida. And we got a 1v12 matchup so far. And Illinois is going to narrowly beat VCU. And then St. Mary's versus Houston. St. Mary's is actually going to upset the 2-seeded Houston Cougars here. Very interesting stuff. We'll see if they can beat Illinois. And McNeese is actually going to beat Florida. Do I intervene here again? I think I'll intervene here. I think I'll have Florida move on. And then according to the stats, St. Mary's is going to have a tremendous run and make it to the Elite Eight. Can they take down Florida, though? They're not. Pull off by 0.2. Florida is going to narrowly move on. And yet another 1 seed. make it to the Final Four. But this bracket is very interesting because there have been a lot of upsets, but it still ended up with 2-1s going to the Final Four. So that's pretty good balance there. Now let's move on to the other side of the bracket. Arizona against Long Island. Anything funny here? Nope. And Villanova, Utah State. I actually took Utah State in this matchup, and the stats also like Utah State. Wisconsin's High Point. Stats really like High Point. That might be a big number to beat. 68.9. Dang, impressive stuff there for a High Point Panthers. And Arkansas versus Hawaii. I also like Arkansas against Hawaii because Hawaii doesn't have help defense, so it's man-to-man ISO ball. Darius Acuff's going to eat that up, in my opinion. And then we'll have BYU move on, but I'm going to assume they probably have better stats than both Texas and NC State. And Gonzaga against Kennesaw State. Gonzaga, obviously playing not the greatest conference, so the stats are going to be high. May have to intervene at some point. Miami versus Missouri. Stats like Miami. I agree there. Missouri barely off the bubble. Queens versus Purdue. And Boilermakers are going to survive and move on. Arizona versus Utah State. The stats like Arizona. I agree. High Point versus Arkansas. And we got another 12 in the Sweet 16. Very impressive stuff there. And Gonzaga is going to roll over BYU. I actually picked BYU to beat Gonzaga. I don't like Gonzaga this year. I think AJ DeBounce and Robert Wright are going to go off against Gonzaga, who aren't the greatest of defensive teams. So I have BYU. I hesitantly picked that one, but Gonzaga very well could beat BYU, but I'm just feeling BYU. And Miami versus Florida. Boilermakers move on. And then Arizona versus High Point. I might have to intervene here. I'm going to have Arizona move on. That's crazy right there. But High Point, according to the stats, they're inflated, stats are going to have them beat. But I'm going to intervene and have Arizona move on. Gonzaga, Purdue, and the Zags move on. Could see this happening for sure. I picked Purdue to make it into Elite 8 against Arizona. And Arizona versus Gonzaga. I don't think the Zags would beat Arizona, so I'll have yet another 1 seed in the Final Four. But once again, we keep having these 12 seeds move on. So interesting stuff. So let's now finish the bottom right, the last part of the bracket. Let Michigan move on. This is a great game. Georgia, St. Louis, and the Billikens move on. Texas Tech versus Akron. Who the stats like more? Akron by a lot. So yep, I think we had a 12 beat every single 5 in this bracket. So maybe there's something there. And Alabama survives against Hofstra. That's going to be one of the most exciting games of the tournament for sure. And I'm going to assume, well, let's be fun here. Let's say Miami, Ohio gets the upset here. Okay, how about that? Virginia against Wright State. Virginia, very good team this year. And Santa Clara is going to beat Kentucky. So we have a nice 7v10 upset there. And, close game here. Iowa State narrowly beats Tennessee State. And then we got Michigan against St. Louis. Close game, actually. Michigan's going to narrowly move on against the Billikens, who have one of the best three-point offenses in the country. Plus, they have Point Center and Robbie Avila, so very fun team. Plus, Trey Green on the perimeter. And Akron's going to take down Alabama. We have yet another 12 seed in Sweet 16. I think I'm seeing a theme here. Let's say we have Virginia. Virginia would probably beat the crap out of Miami, Ohio, so we'll have that happen. And Santa Clara versus Iowa State. The stats like Santa Clara to make their Cinderella run as a 10 seed. That could very well happen. I mean, Santa Clara is a pretty decent team. Actually, had Kentucky survive against Santa Clara, but I can see Santa Clara make a bit of a run. Michigan versus Akron. Once again, I'll intervene here. Michigan will probably not lose to Akron. And then the stats like Virginia by that much. So interesting stuff there. I think that would happen if these teams... somehow if these teams win against each other. That'd be crazy. And who will be our final team to make it to the Final Four, Michigan or Virginia? It's going to be the Michigan Wolverines. So there's been a theme here. The stats like the 1 seeds and the stats love the 12 seeds. So take that information how you will when you make your bracket. Now let's determine who our champion will be in March Madness 2026 for the analytics. And Duke is going to move on to the finals. Now we have Arizona taking on Michigan. Battle of the ones. And Arizona slightly beats Michigan. And let's get our national champion. Will it be the Duke Blue Devils or the Arizona Wildcats? Let's crown them right now. it's going to be Arizona, who I picked in my bracket to win it all. So, hey, maybe I'm on to some. But let's say it's a pretty tight game. Let's say we're feeling a little 62 to 56 here for Arizona. So that is the TKO Analytics bracket according to the stats that I like. And then I had to, I had to intervene. I had to break my watcher code, okay, a few times. Like, I think High Point was an example. Yeah, I can't have all 12 seeds in the Final Four, so I had to bounce that out a little bit. But and then maybe South Florida could beat UConn. That's a big maybe too. Like maybe I could change that one there. But yeah, pretty decent bracket. I mean, bit of a chalk with the 1 seeds plus some upsets. You had Santa Clara make a run for a little bit. All the 12 seeds made a run, so pretty fun bracket here. So so make sure to like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Hopefully this helped you make some of your picks, especially these 8-9 matchups are so close. So hopefully this video helped you with that. It showed you how good these teams are statistically. And if you haven't yet checked out my main bracket video, made some interesting picks there. So make sure to go check that out. But thank you for watching, and God bless you all.